Von D, her new album is called My Side of the Mountain. It's out this week, and that is also going to include a meet and greet and a signing at Loud Pizza Records at Salt Shed on September 22nd. Kat, it is so great to meet you, and thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me.
A lot of people associate you with LA, with Miami, with Indiana, but talk a little bit about Chicago and what our city means to you.
I love Chicago. I've always been a huge fan of Chicago. I have tons of friends out there, and I've spent a lot of time over the years there. And I love everything from your cuisine to your rock scene. So it's a great place to be.
Let's talk a little bit about the new album, My Side of the Mountain. The title is inspired by a book that you loved as a kid. Talk a little bit about that connection.
Yeah, there's a book called My Side of the Mountain that I read when I was, I think, in my elementary years. And it's just about a boy who runs away from home to seek comfort and trying to find a life out in nature and the challenges of that and acclimating to that. And there's a lot of like philosophy behind it. And I don't know, I thought it was a pretty mature read for an elementary scholastic, where they make you read those in elementary school. And but for me, I think it really did strike a chord with as a kid, and something about the idea of having your personal freedom really resonated with me. And so I think it was appropriate for this new album to be named after that.
Was it that book? Was it a particular lyric that you wrote? Was it a particular song that you were like putting together? Like, what was like the catalyst for this album to come together?
Well, no, I mean, I think the album is a series of different types of love songs. Some are more tumultuous than others, but like I said before, I think this idea of finding your freedom within yourself is appealing to me, and thought that it was an appropriate title for the album.
You started playing classical music as a young kid. Talk a little bit about that, because a lot of people, may be surprised that music is such a big part of your background.
Yeah. I think a lot of people know me for tattooing or for the makeup world and things like that, but not everybody knows that I was classically trained as a pianist since I was 5. So music has always been like at the forefront of all of my outlets, my creative outlets. And so, yeah, I think it's definitely my favorite medium to play with. So I love music.
And also too, when I listen to some of the songs that have been released, there's a very much like an 80s vibe, but very much a new wave vibe, which I totally loved. I mean, talk a little bit about the inspiration.
Yeah, I mean, I love like 80s analog synthesizer sounds, and so we worked pretty hard at the sound design on that. And yeah, some of my favorite bands are from that era. I don't think we necessarily sound like some of my favorite bands, but I've always really fallen in love with the 80s and the little bit of the darker side of that era.
Dead was the very first track to be released from this album. Talk a little bit about releasing that track first.
Yeah, we actually released Vampire Love first, and then Dead was second. And I think we're gonna have one more single that we release right when the album comes out too, with a video. But yeah, I liked it. Dead to me was a very upbeat, energetic. It reminded me of almost like an aerobics video, and so we did a really cool like goth aerobics music video to it that I thought was pretty funny and fun to do.
We got to see Charro in the in the preview of it. Is there going to be an extended cut or uncut version that we might see her participating in that music video?
Yeah, I think we might end up editing a new edit for it, because there was just such a high demand to see her. I mean, she's just such a firecracker, and I love Charro. Charro's my best friend, and a muse to me in a lot of ways too.
What was that conversation like, as far as like, hey, I have this new music video, I want you to be a part of it, your friendship, talk a little bit about that connection.
Yeah, I mean, Charro is no stranger to aerobics. So she was doing aerobics classes when she was filming Love Boat. So I think she's kind of known for that. And even on her Instagram now, she'll constantly post videos of her doing aerobics. And so when I presented to her the idea of this music video, she was just so over the moon about it. I think the only thing she was hesitant about was wearing black, because I don't think she really wears black a lot. She wears more colorful, vibrant colors. So yeah.
Well, you know what I love too, especially about you including her in that song and in that music video, is that obviously different generations associate different performers and different talent, and maybe some of your younger followers might get introduced to her. And that's what I love.
Yeah, totally.
That you have a connection to her, but maybe some people who weren't as familiar get to see her work.
Sure, exactly. I love that. And I love sharing people that inspire me. So it's a win-win.
Born in Mexico, Porti. Let's talk a little bit about that song.
Yeah, yeah. Por Ti is like the only Spanish track on this album that we just released. And um, my family's from South America, and I was born in Mexico. And so I have, Latina heritage that I really love and I'm proud of. And so I definitely wanted to incorporate that. And I think it's kind of an underserved community as far as dark wave and gothy synth music. So I was like, oh, I feel like people would appreciate that. And yeah, and the response has been really great, and I love it. And hopefully when we come back for our Halloween show in Chicago, we'll play that for the set.
What's so funny is that was my very next question, is because you teased we've got a tour coming up. You haven't teased any dates yet. When is that going to start? Especially, when can we maybe expect an announcement?
We're going to announce the tour on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. But one of our second show on the tour is going to be in Chicago at Onset. And we're going to be playing it. My husband's band Prayers and I will be doing a Halloween show. So it's going to be an extra special show.
That is amazing. I love that it's a family connection to them. You're in Indiana, which is, maybe a 5-hour, 6-hour commute here from the Chicagoland area. But talk a little bit about, your life and maybe your life in Indiana and how it's inspired this new album.
Yeah, I mean, I think, making a really big change, like moving from a city to a rural area where I live right now, it's like a population of 1,200 people. So it's very rural. There's not a lot going on here, but that's what we liked. I think we wanted to be able to settle somewhere that was much more quiet and possibly start a homestead. And it's nice out here because you get a lot more uninterrupted time, especially when you're being creative. And I'm excited to see how that pans out for songwriting.
And one of the things that I admire about you and that I just love about this journey, whether it's, your sobriety, your faith, how you've transitioned, from your tattoo business, is that you're taking your fans along with that journey. Because a lot of times, you're not the same person that you are in your 20s or in your 30s. Yeah. But you're still a creative person. You still like to have fun. You still like to express yourself. And especially I see a lot of like my friends and a lot of like my cohorts kind of going through a similar journey, but maybe not knowing that like you're not the same person, but you still like that same person on the inside. And that's what I love that you're sharing and that you're like bringing into this world.
Well, I think everybody, this is life and we all evolve. And I think nobody ever really stays the same. That is kind of impossible. And I think the goal is always to be better. And I want to be the best version of myself that I can be. And I think every year is in that direction. So, whether it's through my faith or through my music or through being a mother or whatever it is, like I just always want to be the best version of myself.
That is amazing. Well, Kat, thank you so much for your time today. Kat at Salt Shed at 1357 North Elston. That is going to be at Loud Pizza Records at 12 p.m. on September 22nd. Loudpizza.com for your space and line. And Kat, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. See you guys later.
Thank you.